We begin with that breaking news. 2 National Guard members shot and critically wounded near the White House. The chaotic scene unfolding in the nation's capital. Police, FBI, ATF, and the National Guard all responding. Authorities calling it a targeted attack. Late today, Mayor Muriel Bowser confirming both Guard members from West Virginia, a man and woman, are in critical condition. The suspect shot and wounded. He's now in custody. The National Guard deployed to Washington, D.C. under President Trump's crackdown on violent crime. Late today, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth saying the president now wants an additional 500 troops in the city. President Trump responding from Mar-a-Lago, praising the National Guard and saying the suspect, quote, will pay a very steep price. We have team coverage tonight. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas leads us off from the scene.
Tonight, horror in the heart of the nation's capital. A gunman opening fire on 2 armed members of the National Guard, just 2 blocks from the White House, in what officials say was a targeted attack.
They said National Guard shot.
Everybody back up.
Gunshots erupting just after 2 p.m. near the Farragut West Metro Station where the National Guard was on patrol. ABC cameraman Chris Plater telling our Jay O'Brien he overheard the gunfire.
And what I heard were, like pop, pop, pop. It could have been a steel plate or something, but then boom, boom, boom. And so I'm starting to hear these big guns.
It appears to be a lone gunman that raised a firearm and ambushed these members of the National Guard.
Let's start moving!
First responders seen racing to the scene, performing CPR, desperately trying to save those wounded Guard members. Right there on the sidewalk, shattered glass everywhere. Both victims, a man and a woman, members of West Virginia's National Guard. Tonight in critical condition after being rushed to local hospitals.
One National Guard was lying on his side. And then I looked at the other National Guard member that was down, and I saw compressions going on.
There was countless personnel around him, and they put him in a truck, and a minute later they were gone.
Authorities describing a terrifying scene, with the suspect allegedly tracking the National Guardsman before opening fire. Federal soldiers jumping in to stop the suspect.
They were able to, after some back and forth, able to subdue the individual and bring them into custody. They actually were able to intervene and to kind of hold down the suspect after he had been shot on the ground until law enforcement got there within moments.
Just 2 blocks from the scene, the White House put on lockdown. President Trump, who was already in Mar-a-Lago ahead of Thanksgiving, posting about the suspect on social media, saying the animal that shot the 2 National Guardsmen will pay a very steep price. The deployment of the National Guard in D.C. and other major cities has been controversial, with local authorities questioning whether they were needed with crime falling. In Washington, the National Guard has patrolled in low-crime, high-tourist locations like the National Mall and has been generally well received, by and large not involved in any controversy.
The reason that this suspect is in custody is because of the bravery of the men and women of the National Guard who responded due to their extensive training to secure American lives today.
Tonight, there's an intensive investigation digging into the man's background to determine a motive. I'm told everything is on the table as authorities look for any ties to international or domestic terrorism. They very much want to know why these guardsmen were targeted.
Yes, that investigation just getting started. Pierre Thomas tonight, thank you.